on a topic of extreme national and international importance. We will continue to bring you developments on those discussions ahead of the EU deadline. But we now move to North America, and US President Donald Trump has said that Japan's $550 billion investment in the United States was seed money during his visit to the Federal Reserve. Trump also said that negotiations with the European Union and other countries were doing well, and that there is a 50-50 chance of a deal with the EU. The US President said that most trade deals would be done by August the 1st. He also told reporters that he expected to issue additional letters unilaterally setting tariff rates on other countries in the coming days, and expressed confidence that upcoming trade talks in Stockholm with China could yield more progress. According to Trump, the US and China have the confines of a deal. On the other hand, regarding a trade deal with Canada, Trump said that the United States may not reach a negotiated trade deal and suggested that his administration could set a tariff rate unilaterally. Let's have a closer look at what the president had to say.
The country is doing really well. I just briefed the chairman on the deal we made with Japan. Japan is putting up $550 billion in order to lower their tariffs a little bit. That way they have a little bit lower tariff. And they also opened their country to free trade, which nobody thought was even a possibility. And we get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country. So it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's a total of $550 billion. So nobody thought any of that was possible, and it's wonderful. And we're doing pretty well with the European Union, likewise, and we have some others. They're all really big, and our country's going to make a lot of money. We would be helped if interest rates would come down, but we're going to see how the board rules on that soon. I'd love to see them come down a lot, but we have a country that's thriving.
Well, joining us to discuss Trump's latest comments, Raymond Vickery, the former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce, who's joining us from Washington, D.C. Raymond, as always, a pleasure to have you on the programme. Trump making a lot of statements there, a lot expected, trade talks ongoing, but an acknowledgement that some deals might not be done and those unilateral tariffs will come into force. What's your opinion generally on Trump's tariff action ahead of this deadline and in the face of deals potentially not being done, causing further complications to international economics?
Well, thanks very much for having me. As we have discussed in the past, it is absolutely necessary that to build peace and prosperity throughout the world, that we have a reasonable and logical and institutional approach to economic engagement. Security and economic engagement cannot be separated. They are part of the same reality. That having been said, it is important to keep in mind that President Trump has basically abandoned the multilateral system of international trade, which has been in effect really since World War II, first with the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, and then the World Trade Organization. And what he's done is take a real estate developer's approach to this, and that you can make deals bilaterally, and that will substitute for some sort of institutional approach. What's going on here, of course, is really smoke and mirrors in regard to the international trade system. If you try to get the details of these so-called agreements, you'll find that the details aren't available. And Wall Street and the markets in the United States have adopted the approach of taco, that is, Trump always chickens out. And that doesn't mean that he just stops and says, well, there's no trade. But what he does is take some sort of general pronouncements and then inflate them into durable agreements which are going to build peace and prosperity throughout the world. Thank goodness that he backs off, or else markets would have gone into another tailspin, as they did after he announced them initially April 2nd. So I think that what's going to happen here is the pattern which has been already in place with Vietnam, UK, now Japan and China, to say, yes, there is an agreement and President Trump will proclaim victory. But the chickens will come home to roost. We cannot go forward in the mid to long term with this transactional approach. So it's up to the nations of the world, particularly those who have adopted democracy and market-driven approaches to economic development, to try to put back together some semblance of institutional stability so that in the mid to long term, the average man and woman throughout the world will be benefited, rather than being shoved from pillar to post with tariffs that are on, off, and they're only going to be done by letter, and that's not sustainable.
Yes, Raymond, do stay with us as we move away from North America. Of course, ramifications of those potential